two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
Was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
Salam alaikum. What's up, everybody? I'm like,
I was like, oh, okay, we're going to hold that. Okay, all right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, we taught on this lesson a couple of weeks ago about talking all the languages you speak. I'm like, shoot, I got 3. My new intro is going to be Salam alaikum, ¿cómo estás? What's up, everybody? Welcome to our show.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
All 3 languages.
All right.
Let's go. Yeah. How you feeling, Mitch?
I am, I feel okay. This came really quick. I don't know.
It did.
Right. I don't know what happened. It came just really quick. So, but we're here. Shout out to all our YouTube people who are watching this, whether live or the replay. We appreciate you. Episode 42 is out. All right. We talked about Space Jam. Shout out to Aaron, because he was like, did you cry when this situation happened? I'm not going to tell you if you didn't watch Space Jam, but there was a time where I cried. Like, did you cry? I was like, yeah, I did. Whatever.
I did.
You're right.
I did. I cried.
Right, I did. And like, you know, I get it. I understand. I was like, okay, at least you understand. You may say you didn't cry, but at least you understand, and that's all I appreciate about it. Did you finally watch it?
I did not. No, I haven't. I'm gonna make time. I'm gonna make time before Dallas, or maybe in Dallas. I'm gonna make time.
Yes.
It's been
shout out to our Dallas people.
Kind of busy.
You stay busy.
We'll see you.
You stay busy.
Huh?
You stay busy.
Yeah. I'm trying to. You know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got it. Shout out to our Dallas people. We will be in Dallas this week. So yeah, if you happen to be in Dallas, yeah. Okay. I ain't gonna lie. Can we have this conversation? I'm gonna have this conversation. So first off, if you're in Texas, just comment that you're in Texas. 2, did anybody in Texas know Salt Bae was there? For the simple fact, the 2 people that we know that live in Dallas, Texas, I was like, oh, we're going to see Salt Bae. We're going to the restaurant. I want to experience this. They're like, oh, it's here? What? I was like, all right, let me show you your city. How about that? Let me
show you your city.
Show you the world.
Right.
What? I was very confused. So we'll be in Dallas. We're going to have Salt Bae. And Nick was like, you got to do a video. What? What am I going to do? He's like, you got to do it with the... I'm like, I'm not... What is that? I'm sprinkling different types of content. What did you want? What did you want from that? Like, yo, we can make that super
branding,
viral. Like,
content, personal development.
Right? Like, what are we? All right. You know what? Cool.
That's funny.
So
that's funny.
Yeah, we'll be in Dallas. But yeah, episode 42. Go check that out. Space Jam. Naomi Osaka. I always mess up her last name for some reason, and it's very simple. Yeah. 300K a month on content. I went off yesterday.
Yeah, that's major.
Yeah, I went off yesterday because of that. Went off.
I seen the response. I seen some people saying like, yo, this was a whole masterclass on Nicky's live tonight. If you wasn't tuned in, then you missed out.
Yeah, I think I went like an hour strong. Zoned out. It was crazy. But
I tapped in for a couple minutes. I saw you clapping. I was like, oh yeah, that's different. I never see Nicky do the. Let me tell you.
They're like, yo,
and she's coming with the claps. It's
the clap for me. I was like, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
It happens.
Man,
but what are we talking about?
Gotta love it. Yeah, man. So I think it's a taboo topic. Some people have often shied away from this concept, but again, for those of us who are, or for those of you who are tuning in with us for the first time on a Tuesday, we really try and speak to the person in the word personal brands. All right, we're like, man, you can't be a great personal brand if you're not working on your person, right? Which is you, which is understanding your audience. It's really the combination of the two. So we want to keep coming back to that, keep visiting and revisiting, like, what are some of those different concepts that can make or break a personal brand online? And I don't know if it's because Drake has been teasing about this new Certified Lover Boy album.
Drake.
So it felt right. Drake. It felt right to talk about being in our feelings, right? And I was like, let's bring this conversation to the live show.
See what you did there.
Let's bring, you know what I'm saying? I've been hanging out. I'm trying to get it right. So I was like, let's really bring this conversation to the live show and talk about facts versus feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone says it, stay out your feelings, or you're in your feelings, or what are the facts? Yeah. And if said at the wrong time, it can really trigger somebody. But I do believe it's important that we kind of figure out, because like many of the things we've discussed on the platform, Nix, there have been times where whatever it is necessary, and other times where it absolutely should go away. So I want to kind of talk through this concept and just first start with the person before we go to the audience and the niche and other people. Let's start with the individual and just break down this concept of facts and feelings. So again, I like when we always start with our own personal experience before anything. Talk to me about your journey through navigating through your emotions. I don't know if you've ever maybe labeled yourself as a super emotional person. I know sometimes you're like, yo, I'm petty. I could be petty. So I don't know if you would say that's the same thing, but talk to us a little bit about just, that process of self-awareness. Again, shout out to the flight assessment, because that's what really helps us tie that thing together. But, that journey of getting to know your person, getting to know your emotions, the whole nine. And then, we'll transition over into when is it healthy, when is it unhealthy?
People will say that I'm emotional. People will say that, right?
Okay.
I won't. But people will. You jerk, whatever. People will say.
What are you talking about? This is branding. I'm just doing branding stuff right now. I
see what you did there. Yeah, and if you know me like that, you could comment either in Super Chat or or in the comments if you know me that way. Some people say that I am. Now, I will say I am petty. I will say I'll be in my feelings certain times. Absolutely. Okay. And I'm very quick to react to something. So that's why a lot of people will be very cautious to tell me certain things, because I will go. I'll be like, nope. So me understanding that in the beginning days, like, I was like, okay, I need to, when making decisions, when going about certain situations, I have to put my feelings aside, because my feelings have put me in certain situations where, how do I put this? I don't necessarily regret anything, but I definitely could do it again. If I did it again, yeah, I would do it.
The redo boy.
Right. I would do it a bit different, because I really went straight off what I felt was right and not necessarily what was right. How I feel, even though for those who've taken the flight assessment, flightassessment.com, so you can stay in this conversation. But I'm a pilot, but then also I am a Leo. And so shout out to Leos, because it's about to be Leo season. Hey. But we always think we're right. You know what I mean? So regardless if it's fact or feeling, we always feel, which is still feeling, we always think we're right. I had to, as I got into more of the public eye, as well as certain statuses with my position, I really had to go more on what is a fact, right? Put the feelings aside for a second, deal with that on your own situation, because now your feelings are going to affect other people. If it's just me, I could be in my feelings all day. I'll be a whole Drake person, right? But the second that your feelings impacts another person's decision or movement, you gotta kind of have to have that balance, right? So for me, I'm a petty person. I'm in by myself and definitely in my feelings, and to my really close circle, I'm in my feelings. Outside in the public, and certain responsibilities, I have to go based off facts. And shout out to Bernadette. Super chat in the building. If this adds any kind of value, here's my little commercial voice. If this adds any kind of value in your life and you are watching this live, please hit the super chat. It's this little $sign in the bottom of the comment section on the chat section. I think I said that wrong, but it sounded great. Hit that. You could do tips or you could buy a sticker. So if we add value today or ever through the podcast, give us a super chat. You know what I mean? So anyways.
Facts. Yeah. Now I will say, Nix, before I kind of speak on my whole journey and just kind of like how I've come to understand the feelings and whatever, but I will say you're probably, and I don't know how much of this you want to dish out, but you probably dish out a good amount because you're pretty open and transparent.
Yeah, I'm an open book if you ask.
Yeah, for real. You're probably one of the most strategic people I've ever met, right? Like very, very strategic. And I think that many people who want to have or experience certain moves or certain growth, they can't possibly do it because they can't get past what they're currently feeling. All right. I also remember a time where emotionally you were also a little bruised, right? Like, you were kind of like really going through it. Like you felt like, yo, this is nonsense. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I've done all that in a bag of chips and it's not turning. Like, what's up? All right. Can you talk about, without giving too much detail,
oh, wow.
Because I don't want you to give that detail. Yeah, don't give that detail.
I want to talk about this topic, but I don't want you to really talk about this topic.
Right.
But
don't talk about that part of the topic. Talk about this topic, but not that part of the topic. Right. But I don't know that if that's something that you've always had. If you had that strategic move or like always thought strategically and 3 moves ahead, then cool. But just talk about how you were able to manage that part, because I'm sure there are people who are like, yo, I hear you. It's cool to think about other people when, you're feeling really emotional. And if you're like, there's more people involved, then swallow your pride or deal with it on your own. But we can't neglect the fact that it's tough.
Yeah.
When you're going through it, it is tough.
Yeah.
So talk about just maybe a couple things you did to manage that, or what you felt was like your lowest point, or what it seemed like your lowest point. What did you do to help you start saying, yo, I'm never going to be in this position again? Because since then, 3 years later, I can't say I've seen you even near that position. You've been steadily rising since then. Talk about that a little bit. Just give us a little behind the scenes real quick.
I was about to say, you never see me that way because I've accepted certain things. But, so this is the thing. Even with that, right? So, without getting into detail, this is going to be interesting. Root for me, people in the comments that you understand, and I'm not getting Moose in trouble. So, okay. There was a certain work situation that I felt that I was getting taken advantage of for quite a while. And for me, how I handled that is by myself. I'm an only child. Normally, any type of really deep feelings that I have, I'll deal with it myself and still act as if there's nothing necessarily wrong. Now, to what Moose is talking about, he saw it. And whoever was around that time, they saw it. But not the situation, right? Not the people who were involved in how I was feeling or any of my work being affected, because I know how to separate personal and business, right? And that my feelings are personal, right? Even though it may have to do with business, my feelings is my feelings. So it's a personal situation. And I've learned to separate it because I cannot allow my personal to mess with my business. Because when that happens, then it messes with my money, which will then not be a good thing, right? So for me, I at least had to get my feelings out somehow, some way. Once I'm able to get my feelings out, then it's just a matter of assessing it and being like, what can be changed and what can't, right? I'm, like I said, especially how that was boiling up, because there's times that things just become a little bit too much. You gonna have to let it out. It's just best practices. Just, you have to let that thing out, at least to somebody who is close to you. I don't think at the time we were that close. But
no, not really.
Yeah. I don't even know how that conversation came about, but it happened.
It was around the assessment, actually. I think that's what kind of,
I don't know.
you know, like that's what like created the alleyway. But yeah, no, go for it.
I don't know, but I was boohoo crying. Okay, now this is the second time I'm admitting I'm crying. This is crazy. But but I was boohoo crying. And but after that day, I didn't necessarily allow it to ever get me to that point again. Because once you get me to that point, right, I make sure that doesn't happen. Fact. I will never put myself in a position to where that becomes a consistent feeling, because that means my feelings has more power than I can necessarily control, right? I don't even blame it on the situation or anything like that. I blame it more on I cannot control my feelings, in which it portrays some type of negativity or some type of doubt, or even something worse of like a depression, things like that. Fully aware of that. So I got to let it out, and then boom, either you accept it or you change it. So in that particular situation, I accepted certain things just because you control what you can control. But I changed a lot of the way I look at certain things. So that's when, and we talk about leverage a lot. That's when I started really being like, okay, you know what? What can I really, for myself and for who are around me, how can I leverage this particular situation that it's a win-win for both? Right? Not necessarily, because some people will hear the leverage situation and be like, oh, you are trying to get all you can for yourself. And
take advantage, yeah.
Right. And for me, I look at leverage as how is it equal? Because sometimes when you are in a business situation, the other person is not necessarily thinking about you. Right? Sometimes they think about you only maybe in a matter of like monetizing, like give you a check or, you know, present these types of clients and things like that. And they may think that keeps it mutual. For me, it's always bigger than a check. And I deal with a lot more people. So, you know what? Let me figure out ways of how to leverage to create something bigger than the particular situation that even got me pissed off. So I switched to, okay, you're not thinking about me. Let me think about me and you at the same time, because I'm not going to turn into you.
Wow. Where are my air horns? Somebody get me some air horns. Sheesh. That's good. That's good. Wow. That's a good word. That's a really good word. Shout out to everyone in the comments, by the way. Terry, Omar, Overland, the government. That's cool. Like,
Chris said,
the groove man. Come on.
Yeah, Dwight came.
I said the government.
Yeah, I don't know why
My
you
bad.
said that. That's
I was
Dwight.
like, I don't know why I said the government. Yeah.
Shout out to Dwight. Let me say this publicly. Hold on, let me get this. Wait.
Miss you, man.
Here we go.
Yeah, for real. We miss you.
We miss you. We miss you, Dwight. Hopefully you're watching this on either your phone or the big screen. Hopefully the big screen. We miss you.
Hi, Dwight.
Miss your family. Text me.
Miss your tunes.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a playlist. Why are you playing with me? God, sheesh. Anyways, all right, yeah. So, hey, Erica in the building. Shout out to Erica Ford. If you have not watched that episode, I don't know where you
back.
Been. Yeah, go
Episode
back.
40.
Episode 40. Go back.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk about you, sir. Let's talk about you.
Yeah.
So,
no,
all right. No,
sorry,
wait. Let me do this. Right.
Rightfully.
So I know the answer, but let the people know. Are you more of a facts person or a feelings person in the beginning days? Right. Mm-hmm. Not what they see of you now. Right.
Right.
But in the beginning days, and then even now, looking back. Even now,
yeah.
What do you feel is most important?
Yeah. So I think my beginning days definitely, despite of what has been advertised and what has been showcased, definitely a heart dominant feelings person. Right. It's like I prioritize feelings, and not feelings because of how I felt, but feelings because of I wanted to protect the loyalty and the relationship. Mm-hmm. So what I had to learn pretty quickly is that what's looked at as feelings, for me, it's principle, but not everyone is taught the same code. Whatever that code is, right, in terms of how things should be done, I think culturally, it's different. And even state to state or age to age, generation to generation, those things are different. So I think the reason why people will often push to stick to the facts is because they know that that's something more so black and white. It can't get lost in translation. It doesn't matter, age or anything like that. It's more clear and easier to read, and we can always point back to it. Mm-hmm. Feelings change. I might be very happy today, might be a little bit tired, a little bit later on, maybe not so happy tomorrow, whatever. It's known that feelings are going to change for the most part. Yeah. So I know that that's the reason why, people can go away from them. What I've had to learn, though, and this is something that I like to speak on every single time we do a live or any content related to feelings and facts, I want to be mindful to let people, in terms of just their understanding around feelings and emotions, because it's difficult to say that because you're an introvert that you don't feel, right? Mm-hmm. You shouldn't say that. Be careful to take that label as who you are. Reason being is you're human, you have a heart. Right, like there's a heartbeat. There's emotion in there. Whether maybe you're not as maybe prone to relying on them, but trust me, you have feelings. So, what I did at a certain point, especially when I started navigating through the flight assessment experience, I started to say, "Oh, I'm a non-emotional person. Like I don't feel feelings," and I almost began to override my natural upbringing, which again was heart dominant, cared about the people, loyal to the relationship, wanted the best for the collective. And then I started to run into a clash, and I wasn't sure what was happening. What I should have said, and what everyone is listening to this, if you identify as an introvert or someone who isn't so dominant or reliant on your emotions, is that you do have feelings. You're just not as expressive of those feelings. There's a big difference there. Mm-hmm. It's one thing to say, yo, I don't have feelings. I'm a facts person. And again, be careful with that because you're human, you have a heart, and you definitely have feelings. We all have feelings. The only difference is you're just not as expressive of your feelings. Maybe you have more control or you don't rely on them as much. So that's one of those major differences. So I would say, Nick, for me, that's one of my biggest lessons as I navigated. And now I'm starting to see that what I'm currently going through is that I might start off facts and it turns into more of the feeling side as the relationship gets closer. I put my guard down a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's not, let's not treat it like a business transaction. Let me take more of a personable approach. Like, I actually care about the individual, not just what I can get out of them. And I think that's kind of how I've managed to work it out. So I don't know if I answered both of your questions there, but
you did.
Yeah, that's
you did.
Yeah.
And for those who are live in the chat, just let me know what team you're on. Are you team facts? Are you team feelings? Let us know. I'll start putting that on the screen. And shout out to Erica once again, because she's in the building and she did super chat. You know what I mean? She did super chat.
Yeah. Appreciate you as always, Erica. Yeah. I want to, and I don't know if you have anything else to add, but definitely want to take the conversation a little bit differently now and start thinking about the audience, right? Yeah. The other persons or people, if you will, that make up a personal brand. So what I think about also in kind of like the social media world, and we're talking specifically a digital world, is obviously you're interacting with other people. And we've noticed that there's a lot of people who have literally almost changed their entire demeanor, change what they do or what they don't do, how they feel, how good they feel, or how well they don't feel based on people's responses to them. Right? So it's like somebody can comment something to you that can trigger some emotional response. It can either get you too high or too low, and that can create a whole different scenario. Mm-hmm. The other part of it too is that I've noticed that we live in a very hypersensitive society right now. And I'm not saying that people are overly emotional. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that people are more in tune with their beliefs, with what they care about, what they stand by. And they're often voicing those things. So if you're not careful, you can say something that can appear to be very offensive, to a group of people that they're like, whoa, like, how do you not, or how dare you say that? And we've seen a lot of brands, personal brands, big brands, take a large dip, have to rebrand, have to change their logos, right? Have to change their names because they said something that was out of pocket and they couldn't bounce back from it. Right. So I want to change the dialogue a little bit now, Nix, and get on the other side of it to talk about, how do you navigate this digital world so that you don't say something that can be so offensive that can ruin your growth or can put you in a position where you're like, oh, I got to start over from scratch. I got to rebrand. I think like, what is it? Aunt Jemima, the pancakes here? Oh, there you go.
They're so good.
They had to rebrand. Didn't they have to like change the logo because it was linked to some racism? So I'm just saying, like, stuff like that, if not careful, you can be built. We also talked about it a couple of episodes ago with Michael B. Jordan and what he did. And he had to rename his brand. So you can see it's something that happens a lot, but I don't think people connect it to the concept of, managing your own emotion and also dealing with the facts so that you don't get anyone triggered or get them upset. So give us your feedback on that. Just maybe a starter kit for navigating that world.
So I think when we're starting to create, our brands and our businesses, we have to already think that it's not for us, right? Mm-hmm. So that would mean we would have to research everything about our audience because this brand is not necessarily for us. Right. So we're going, whatever word we may think of, we have to make sure that it's in line with our audience, whatever kind of true movement. Now, and I get it. Like, okay, then that kind of restricts my creativity, what I feel should be the changes and things like that. But there's some things that what is wrong is wrong. Now, like you said, we are in a time that people find everything wrong, it seems like, right? Yeah. And you have to kind of set those, I wouldn't say boundaries, but care limits. Like there are going to be things that you're going to do and you're going to get some backlash for it, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to stand strong with it because we can't make everybody happy. Okay, if we are trying to reach, let's just say, 5% of the world. Let's just say that, right? We can't make even that 5% we can't make everybody happy. We can't even make all 5 people happy, right?
Right.
Get
That's
5
true.
random
Yep.
people. We cannot make, they're going to have a say or something, an opinion, feedback on something. But if in totality it's not super offensive, right? It's not breaking any kind of laws. I particularly don't see the problem. The great thing with where we live is that we have freedom of speech, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes a good thing, that's sometimes a bad thing, but majority of times it is a good thing, right? And we have to take responsibility of, I'm a brand, I'm for the people, though the goal may be to have generational wealth, and the goal may be to create extra income for my family and for myself and for my team. That could be that too, right? But we have to still think about others when we are creating content, products, services, because it's for them. And so if we have a weird feeling, like, I don't know if this is going to go, this is where you need to have a circle of people who look at it and be like, yes or no. Mm-hmm. Some people don't do that. Some people just create it. Some people just do the service, do the product, and like, let's see what happens. Some people will post and not necessarily have a filtering system. And so it's just like, oh, that's it. Cool, right? And I could go on about with E and C, there's a lot of things that it's like, oh, hey, hello. I know you're a whole male audience, like crew right here, but females do listen to you too. We may have to bleep this out. Nah, let's just go all in. No, let's not. Let's not. And this is why it's important to have even hopefully and I get some people are maybe not in that situation to where they can have a team, but hopefully down the line you can have a team of different genders, races, backgrounds, so you can have a full feel of how people may receive this particular information, product or service that you're about to put out. I mean, like, I think that you have to have some type of filtering system. We spoke about it with the Michael B. Jordan situation. If he had a team like that cared, I feel like, of course, you're, pardon me with this, but if you're that rich, you have people around you. Now, you have a lot of people maybe that are yes men. Sorry, Michael B. Jordan. We would still love to have you on Nicky and Moose. This is no shade. I'm just saying. He may have had a lot of people like, yeah, go, let's go, right? Because I personally, if the idea is cool, I'll be like, yeah, cool. And I don't necessarily think it out until like a few days later, like, what?
Wait.
Are you serious? Oh, why does anybody think this is a great idea? But here I am hyping it up like, boom, yeah, let's go. Why not? We could do this, right?
Right.
So that doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's very hilarious. It is. So what I would say is have a team, a diverse team. I know that's your thing. Diversity is always your thing. But definitely have, if possible, a diverse team that can help you filter out some things and give a different type of perspective that maybe you weren't even thinking about.
Yeah, that's good, Nix. I like that. I like that a lot. Definitely. I think your team can save you from a lot. I want to go to the comments for a second because I seen some hilarious comments. Isaiah, I think, by the way, Isaiah, you get the trophy for funniest comments on Nicky and
Facts.
Moose ever.
Facts.
I swear your comments are hilarious.
Big facts.
This dude said, factual feelings, I want pancakes. I love it. I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah, that's Isaiah. That sounds like him. That sounds like him.
Yeah. Yeah. Erica Ford said, I am team facts and feelings. I be in my feelings about the facts.
Yep.
Yo, that's classic. I love that. I
That's a
love that.
bar. That's a bar right there.
I love that. Yeah. And it's true, right? It's true. And that's why we're saying you have to recognize that both are needed. You just have to know when which is appropriate.
Yeah.
That's the bigger part, right? And what I'm almost starting to recognize, Nix, that when you're talking about the future, something related to the future, you need to deal with the facts.
Yeah.
Because feelings change. And when you're talking about the present moment or what's happening now, then you need to be mindful and sensitive to the emotions, right? Or the feelings, right? Because you can do something now that can hurt somebody so much so that they will hold it against you. And we know, again, from the grounds crews, they have a long backlog, right? Like, hey, back in 2006, you said this and I'm holding it, till 25 because of XYZ. So it's like when it comes to the present moment, be sensitive to the people around you and their feelings for sure, especially if you're in a position of leadership. But when you're thinking future, you got to deal with the facts because that's the way that you can know, hey, am I in the right direction? Building out this concept or this idea or this business. Is this something that I can bank on, right? Does it have some consistency? Does it have some long-term growth? Does it have potential for change? Those are the things that are going to help you stay in the long game. So again, I'm seeing this from being amongst our group and also from watching you, Nix. When I say definitely one of the more strategic people I've ever met is because when it comes to, okay, the future, you're always saying, all right, let's go black and white. I know maybe the way they did it wasn't the best or what they said could have been different, but we might be in need of their partnership right now. We might be in need to work together and make this thing happen. Let's think about the future and how we can get over that. So you got to know where you stand in terms of a position of power to kind of either really expand your ego and say, nope, I'm not letting this one go. Or do you play the long-term game and navigate the concept from there? I want to go to a question too by, let's see, Ronald, right? Ronald Barnes kind of put this in there. And I know he said he got the question or he got the answer for maybe something that you said already, but I just want to revisit this because I think there are multiple ways to speak on it, right? So he said, how do you rebrand your business? Yeah, exactly. How do you rebrand or how do you brand your business where you don't compromise, but you're not offensive, like real life offensive?
Yeah, that's the team. That's the team. That's really, yeah, that's the team. So we always, like, just as individuals, there's going to be things that we feel like we're right about, and this is how we see the world, right? Sometimes, especially, I can speak on me, some of the things I think of is just not politically correct. Should never be outside. Just how I describe certain people just should never be really out there for anybody. Fully aware of this, right? But I'm fully aware of this because I test it out on my friends, right? I test it even like I literally say certain things.
You look for the reaction.
And look for the reaction because if there's a super like, yo, really? Do you have to describe them? Like you couldn't describe the person just as like a regular human being. Like you couldn't call them by their name. You had to describe them with this particular situation. So I already know how I do things, just may not be really out for the public so much. So based off that circle that I have, I know, though I think this is right, clearly if 4 people that I said this to all react a certain kind of way, I may need to keep this to myself. I'm not compromising. I'm just strategically moving to where I'm still putting it as I'm the people first. Now, there still is ways, and this is for those who've taken the assessment, and you have this skill too of manipulating in a positive way. Shout out to you, right? Because manipulation gets a bad rep. But there are certain ways to still say what you want to say without saying it. Still doing what you want to do, right? Without just being like, yeah, here I am, and you're going to do it because I said so. Like, so, but it's all about, we're in the business of people. Without people, we don't have no followers, we don't have no sales, we don't have no traffic to our website, we don't have anything. I don't care if you are creating a business that is solely to be forward thinking for what you think the people need. You still need to know what the people feel, right? And how they react to things. So you have to put them first, have a circle that sees what you're doing, and then if it is so important to you, how do you still kind of weave your way in, which puts you and them in a happy medium?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's good. I would take it in a different direction too. But I see Ronald wrote back here and said, dope, my problem is I be so fact and production oriented. I have trouble caring when I know I'll be successful, but I get it. All right. So Ronald, my question to you, man, would be, are you producing a product or are you producing or working with a service, right? It's really important when you're talking about how you go to market. Much of the approach for doing so is really going to depend upon, all right, what am I actually bringing to the marketplace? Am I bringing a product? Am I bringing something that can be faceless? Right? Because some people bring a product, but they have to add a face to elicit emotion. Right? And I've learned that through watching CJ when he talks about how certain brands are able to elicit an emotion or strike emotion out of people, although they're bringing you something that is physical. It's not supposed to create that, but they understand people's connection to things. It's human nature. So I do believe that once you understand that concept, there's got to be a compromise at some point, especially if you can make sense of it, Ronald, for the greater good of your business. If you're truly about the production or about the results or really getting progress, and you start to see that, man, if I can be a little bit more caring as it relates to this piece here, right, that is going to help take my business to the next level. So it's easier to make that compromise. And I wouldn't even call it a compromise, but really an adjustment. Now, the other side of it is you got to know who you are. And Ronald, this isn't specific to you. I see you drop product in the chat, but this isn't specific to you. But definitely, for anyone when it comes to this concept, you got to start with you. Yeah. And that's why we talk about we want to build the person in the personal brand. All right, you got to build you, the person in the personal brand, because this is a people-oriented concept. But when you start with who you are and you can rely on principle, right, if that's what it is, knowing what Nicky talked about, this concept of like, yo, you can have 5 people. Not all 5 of them are going to agree with you. Somebody's going to find something wrong with wearing a red shirt and a blue hat. It's like, whoa, why are you wearing those 2 colors together? That don't make sense. Why are you creating, some form of beef? It's like, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't wear that, or you shouldn't say that. True. But if you know what you stand on, you're never going to be swayed or almost feel pressure to shift what you say, how you say it, or what you do, because you know why you're doing it. So I hate to sound cliche and say start with why, but that is the reason behind it. Now, I do believe that in the beginning, you have to choose a color, black or white. You have to choose a color, black or white. You cannot be neutral gray looking to satisfy everyone, because that deep end of the sea, you catch nobody. In the beginning, people are going to rock with you because you're not neutral gray. It's like, oh, you stand behind dreamers should be in this country, and you say that regardless of who's in the room. That's what I believe. I'm going to rock with you. And we've spoken about identify and understand who is not for you. So when they don't respond, you're not hurt by it. Part of the process of understanding, right, the person or other people that are going to follow your brand or your business is understanding that there are going to be some people who are not for you. So when they give you feedback or they don't buy or they're not interested or they're not necessarily wanting to rock with you, that's okay, because you never would rock with me as perfect as it could be. You'd still have something to say about it. So that part of it is important. So I've realized there is magic in picking a color, Nix, and knowing whether you're going to be that either black, and I'm not saying about people, right? I'm just talking about just in general. Are you going to be black or are you going to be white? Get out of that neutral gray looking to satisfy everyone, because you catch nobody with that approach. So that's one of those fine lines. Yeah, sorry if we went on a tangent there, but I wanted to speak to that because I know that definitely when you talk about product rollout or service or just really taking something to market, that's one of those dialogues that some people can find a bit challenging and trying to figure out the approach for it.
I can't wait till our podcast. I gotta talk about certain rollouts. I just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You said the magic word, and I almost want to talk about it now, but I'm not going to. Go ahead, bring something else up before I talk about it.
No. What about? And I'm gonna, don't mind me, but we got 15 minutes left or 14 minutes left. I'm gonna circle back to the person here for a second, or the personal. What about the person who's overly factual? All right. Speaking of Ronald kind of talk about like, I deal with the facts. Let's speak about that for a second. What if you're overly factual? Do you just ignore the emotions? Like what happens with that? Cause I wrote it kind of similar to the emails. Like, you ever been in conversation and someone says, why are you so emotional? Right? It's like probably the worst thing to say to somebody who is emotional.
Facts.
To tell them, hey man, why are you so emotional?
Right.
It's like,
right. That is one of the worst things. These are facts.
Emotional overload. Right. Because that perspective is overly factual. Talk about your experience dealing with people who are maybe triggered. You're seeing that they're upset.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, let me not throw into this. Yeah.
Wait, not go into what? Because I'm not the greatest.
Like,
with that.
let me not add fuel to the fire. That's what I meant. Yeah, let me not add fuel to the fire. If you're already triggered emotion,
I was like,
you do.
I do.
Great. Let's talk about it.
I add fuel to the fire. Like I'm gonna let you know this. So, and maybe this is something I have to work on. I said maybe, not really sure, right? Because I'm fully aware of my flaws, and sometimes I don't like changing them. But if I'm in let's not say a disagreement, let's say a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And I know something is wrong. Like, I know it, right? Because I got facts. I know it. And this person is trying to play like it is, like, they know they wrong, but they're trying to like cover it, or like, I just wasn't feeling it, this, that, and the third. I'm gonna bring it back 9 times. No, hold on. In this particular time and day, look, and this has a read receipt. Like, I'm bringing out all the facts just so you could be like, all right. Like, I'm one of those people you have to say, oh, okay, hold on. You're right. My bad. Okay, I did that wrong. I did, like, if you try to go too emotional with me and it steers away from the actual fact, like, I'm cool in being emotional in the conversation as long as it doesn't compromise facts. Right? So I can be emotional, but I always string it back to, okay, what's real, what's black and white. So if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they steer it away from the actual facts and they go, I feel. Okay, well, but how you feel has nothing to do with this. Like, we still are leaving at 7:00 in the morning. You may feel like you don't want to, or you may have felt that it was 10:00 in the morning that we were leaving. But in all actuality, we are leaving at 7 a.m. Like, a fact is a fact, right? So I'm one of those people that will drill into your head if you veer too much to the left. This is a fact. Like, be in your feelings all you want to, but this is a fact. I just want you to know this after a while. But that's just me. I don't know. That's
yeah.
me.
I love it. I love it. Last thing, because this came up in my mind. Negative comments, crazy comments, right?
Okay.
We got people call them internet thugs, all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? But again, it could trigger emotions, right? And we talked about the importance of knowing how to kind of manage and navigate those situations. One of my favorite accounts, and I've seen some of the funniest response, I think it's Wendy's, but it's definitely one of the fast food restaurants. Yo, their responses are hilarious.
Yes.
Right? They've actually incorporated that funny response, or I'm gonna clap back to what you say to kind of, play along with it. But I think they have one of the funniest accounts on Twitter. I don't know if they still do it, but I know there was a time where they wouldn't kind of take the nonsense from people who were writing them on Twitter, and they would actually write back and kind of make a joke out of it, and it brought them more attention.
Yeah.
So again, how do we respond to that? Because it seemed like some people are like, yo, and I saw someone online just last week, like, hey, I came back from this kind of like self-healing trip. I'm not dealing with no nonsense in my comments. If you drop any negativity, you're going to be erased and blocked, period.
Yeah.
And then you look at another example again, Wendy's, it's like, you know what? I'm going to use your negative feedback to kind of spin it into a funny situation and bring more brand recognition or brand awareness, because more people are now sharing that. So talk to us about that. What's the strategy? How do you navigate that, in the digital world?
So
Look, Winters, they still do. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
No. Rose Gold said they still do. Yeah.
So in all actuality, if it's so disrespectful or if it's too crazy, block it and delete it. That's the easiest thing. That has to be one of the best features, right? Because if they're already coming to you with that type of energy, they don't need to be there. They're going to continue to do it eventually when they get triggered to do it, right? Just get them out of here. It's not, especially if you are on a definite positive vibe, you just get them out of here, right? Now, for me, depends if you got time today or not. It's one of those things. Like, I got time today, so we can have this dialogue back and forth if you want to. Like, because you came into my world now. See what I'm saying? Like, I'm not in your world. You intentionally came onto my post, you commented, and you made that super public for anybody to read.
Right.
It depends if I have time or not, right? And when I do have time, it's more on trying to get you to answer on why you think this particular way, and at what point did what I said or whatever I posted triggered you to think that's okay. Like, it's more of a, I'll do the, okay, so you're saying this because of that? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Right? So, and the thing is, it's like, once we reach certain levels, we're going to get people who are not going to agree, not going to be of much favor of everything that we say or do. That's fine. We are different individuals, raised differently, look differently. We're not supposed to think the same. We're not supposed to agree on everything, right?
Yeah.
It is just a matter of educating if they are willing to be open-minded. Now, like I said, if you have time, you educate. You don't go back and forth and be like, you're trash, what are you doing? Like, it's not no negativity. It's either you have time to educate or you have time to delete. One of the two, right? Because if you educate, then you have the opportunity to have them change their perspective on things, so it doesn't happen to somebody else, right? It can happen to you. You're supposed to take some of the blows, right? Now, some of this internet bullying that's happening to like top celebrities, I think that's a little OD, right? But at that same time, for top influencers and celebrities, they should have a team that is instantly deleting this for protection of that particular person. Right?
Man, that's good. That's good.
So,
Yeah, protect their mental, because I know some people get like dragged into that. They'll actually spend time reading the negative comments more than they do the positive ones.
yeah, it is what it is, right? Like we know that because we are creating certain brands and that we are becoming more into the limelight, regardless if we want to be or not, right? We know some stuff is going to come our way. And there's going to be a point where we're going to have to do it. And there's going to be a point where we really have to get somebody to do that, because what we need to concentrate on is providing information, motivation, or entertainment to the world, and staying true to maybe our outside activities off the internet. Us entertaining everybody's perspective is not necessarily our job, regardless if you're a people person or not. So you have to either delete, you have time to educate, or you have people who make sure that that's not even part of your brand, and they educate or they delete.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I've never actually thought about that. Like actually having someone who's intentional and keeping almost the comment section just like a positive and healthy space for those who are going through it. Because I never really realized how many people will go through the comments and see like what the dialogue is like, you know, on specific posts. And not that they're necessarily trying to get into the gossip or the negativity, but just in general, they will go through the comments and really read through and see what's happening in there. So that makes a lot of sense. It's like, yo, almost create like filters for your comment section so that people can, you know, make sense of it or at least be in a healthy space. The thing for me, I've always talked about it like, man, I don't know why, but I can't possibly look at somebody else's work and get into a debate with them about why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. It's like, something about that just doesn't sit well with me. However, comma, like Nikki would say, however, comma, right? Go out and create what you think is the right way to do it.
Right.
If you're like, yo, that shouldn't be said, then go out and create something that should be said. If you don't think that should be done, then go out and do something that should be done.
Right.
But to go into the debate with somebody thinking that you're going to be able to persuade them or change their mind, having no idea or clue why they did what they did to begin with, I don't know that makes sense. Now, I do understand the concept of accountability. There are certain situations where someone will say something that is obviously extremely offensive, and that person needs to be held accountable. Fair, it makes sense. They need to be educated. And for the most part, again, we talk about Michael B. Jordan, but once he was educated on how that was offensive to the people of that island in the Caribbean, he was like, hey, I apologize. I'm going to change it, right? So I get it if it's for the point of accountability. But if you're doing it just to prove somebody wrong or tell them that you disagree with them, come on, like, go do something about it. Be more solution oriented. So I've never been a fan of that part, but yeah. Thanks for going back and forth with me on this dialogue. I just know that it's definitely something that I've been thinking about. Like, yo, it's easy to say, oh, get out your feelings, but what you mean? I got them. They're here. How do I get at them? So I hope for everyone tuned in, man, I hope this was something helpful for you, just to understand, like, yo, at the end of the day, that's another one of those scenarios where both are necessary. When you decide to rely on them is very critical. Very critical.
Facts. So check us out. Go check out episode 42. It is out everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all this stuff, or just go to nickyandmoose.com. If you are on Apple Podcasts, go join the All Access Squad. You can try it for 3 days free, right? We're dropping the new after show tomorrow around 7, 8 o'clock. I'll let you guys know, but be a part of that. And 120series.com. Yeah. Eric Thomas is coming back outside to Atlanta September 25th, 26th. And we will be there. Yes, we will. We will be there.
We will be there.
I know for sure I'm doing something, and Moose will probably be doing something with me if he doesn't have anything else to do. Yay!
Possible. It's possible.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact. So
Possible.
he's feeling like he doesn't want to, but it's a fact that he will. We're just going to turn it into a Nicky and Moose session. It's going to be fire. Watch it happen. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Yeah, next week is same time, same place. Yep.
Yep.
And we out. You know what we're going to say?
Later, y'all.